What makes me really sad about MMORPGs is I think they've forgotten that the first thing they need to be is a really good game. And the second thing they need to be is as long as they can be without being shit, and then you can add in all the multiplayer stuff. Please do that first. I would probably never make an MMO because I'm aware of how remarkably complicated they are to do. But let me explain the process I would go through. And again, I'm simplifying this. I understand that if you've made an MMO, it's an incredibly complicated thing to do. And I'm not meaning to kind of downplay your achievement or your accomplishment at all. But please understand the first thing you need to do is this. Make a really good game. It's a single player game, a story, a world, an interesting place. And then work out the best way that people could interact within it, and then make it as fun as possible. Make it so people want to log in, not feel like they have to. You ever got home from work and thought, I've got to log in. I don't want to, but my second job begins now. It's not so simple as you're saying. I mean, yeah, that's why I said it's not as simple as this. I kind of preceded that statement by saying it's not as simple as I'm going to make it sound, but what you need to do is make a good game. And then you jumped in with, it's not that simple. I am aware. If you're starting to create the MMO with single-player approach, you'd run into the issues that will be impossible to resolve or take time to resolve. Okay, testimony. I'm not talking about systems. I'm talking about gameplay experience. Guild Wars 1 can be played single-player. Guild Wars 2 can be played single-player. Elder Scrolls Online can be played single-player. Final Fantasy XIV can be played single-player. All the really big, popular, successful MMOs have a single-player experience within them that a player can log into. And RuneScape has a single-player game mode, Iron Man. And then what you do is you work out the best way that these single players could interact with each other. The problem is that forcing interaction between players doesn't work as well anymore. It used to be fine. I really do think that if you want to be playing the game with friends, excellent. Allow people to play together. Allow them to play with friends. But also have it so they can play on their own if they want to. One of the best things RuneScape does is allow you to just change worlds and servers as you wish. I do not know why this isn't standard procedure on every MMO. It really should be. That's what it should be. RuneScape was one of the first MMOs I really got into, so I started to assume that being able to just switch your server as you wished was a standard industry thing. It was only really weird when I started playing other MMOs and realised that you can't do that. And I thought, why on earth can't you do that? That was a perfect thing. When I said to someone, hey, come and play RuneScape, and they said, can I play with you no matter what world I'm on? I thought it was a crazy question to ask. Of course you can. Of course you can play RuneScape with me no matter what world you're on. Why wouldn't you be able to? And then, of course, someone says, hey, come and play World of Warcraft. What world do you want? Oh, that world's full. Oh, that world's got bad ping. Oh, I don't want to play the Horde or the Alliance. It's a real shame. The ability to play with your friends should be easy. MMORPGs should make it as easy as possible for you to play the game with your friends. If there is a roadblock to you playing the game with your mates, work out what the roadblock is. Let's work out how we can remove it. If it's an online game and the strength is multiplayer play, let's work out the best way we can do that. If World of Warcraft had free server changes, and you could just hop between them as you wished for your mates, it would obviously change how the game works, and people would go, oh, the communities wouldn't work. It wouldn't be able to build up the communities. Of course it would. If you want the communities on the world, just don't hop. You don't need to. RuneScape did it fine. I mean, I think Final Fantasy XIV is trying to take steps to allowing you to just play with other people if you want to. What would free server changes do to the economies of those servers? Well, it would change them. Are you really concerned about the economy of a server more than the ability for players to play the game with their friends? If I had to make a choice between absolutely bricking the economy of a server and allowing players to play the game together, I would probably go with let's make it so players can play the game together, and then let's work out how we fix the economy. No matter what you do, you're going to fuck up the economy somehow. I mean, EVE has pretty much hired actual economists to work out how it goes. In which case, that makes the game less enjoyable for raiders. Okay, yeah, cool. So then we need to work out how we can make the game more enjoyable for raiders and make it the best game for them. What really irritates me is how someone puts an idea forward, hey, I think this, and someone else immediately goes, well, that will destroy this. Okay, yeah, it might do. But what we need to do is work out how we can then fix that with this. It's a constant process of, let's fix A, oh, B's broken. Let's fix B, oh, C's broken. Let's fix C. And if you keep going and doing it, eventually you will get there. It just takes a while to do. If you suggest a fix to a problem and that fix is not done because it would cause another problem, that just means you've got two potential problems in your chain to fix. You need to work out how we can do the best for all of them. If you don't do anything because it might affect other things down the road, you will never do anything. It's not just a case of we can't change this because it would change that. It's a case of, is changing this a benefit? Okay, let's try it. Oh, that messed that up. Let's change this. Let's do that. You need to have people who are flexible. Developers who are flexible. Players who understand that it is an ongoing process. People like to point out the problems that doing anything will cause. Instead, we need to point out the problems, the solutions, and then work out the best choice for the most players. The best choice for the game in general, the system. It's an ongoing, fluid process. That's what it is. It's a case of considering all the solutions, picking the best one, and then doing the best. Perfect is often the enemy of done, as they say. If you spend absolutely far too long waiting for literally everything to be perfect, nothing ever gets done. So we need to work out what the closest to perfect we can get is, and then actually, do something. Yeah, one of the hardest lessons to learn is that if you are when someone says, oh, I'm a perfectionist, not a good thing to be, because what that means is you will spend so long worrying about the minutiae that don't actually matter as much as you think they do, you won't actually do something. Skyrim was not ready when it was released. If they only released it when it was ready, it would never be released. Now, I am not advocating for releasing unfinished games. Not at all. The players deserve way better than what they are getting. What I am asking people to understand is that the process of perfection will ultimately lead to very little ever happening. Skyrim's still not ready. Absolutely. Players do need games to be in a playable, workable state. And you, if you ever do anything, need your project to be in a playable, workable state. But anyone that's ever developed anything will tell you that at some point, perfect becomes the enemy of done. It really does. At some point, you will need to say, right, this is as close to done as it is feasible to get it. And now we need to release what we have and improve as we go. Cyberpunk released far too early because the investors were pushing for it to be released. If Cyberpunk had 6 more months of work, I think it would have released in a much better state. Not perfect. It still wouldn't have been perfect. If Cyberpunk had 6 more months of planning and prepping, it still wouldn't have been completely bug-free, but it would have been an acceptable release. Perfect is the enemy of complete, or of the enemy of done. People say to me, hey, I want to start, I get this all the time, people message me, they say, hey Josh, I want to start streaming, but I want to have everything perfect before I start. I want to start streaming, but I want to have the best mic, and I want to pay someone to do custom emotes for me, and I want to have a custom, overlay, and I want to have a custom this and a custom that, and I want to have the best gaming chair I can find. No. Start with the least you can possibly get away with. Start with the absolute worst stuff you can. Please, just start. You will learn far, far more from starting something when you are not ready than you will from waiting until you are ready. Because ironically, one of the only ways to be ready for something is to start it. And learn all the things stuff that's so complex, you didn't even know that you didn't even know it. That's the crazy thing. One of the weirdest things I ever learned about teaching, I learned from an older teacher who explained it to me on the job. And there is absolutely no way any book or lesson would have ever prepared me for it. And what that was really weird. I was using an eraser to wipe off a blackboard. And the teacher walks up to me and says, when you wipe either chalk or a dry erase pen off a whiteboard or a blackboard, use up and down strokes to wipe it off. I said, why? And they said, because when you do horizontal strokes, your butt wiggles. Every teacher sees this, every student sees this, and everyone will stare at it. It's worse for female teachers. And I thought, what a random piece of information. Like, what a random thing to know or to learn. And I thought, hang on, no. It's true. You're standing there, wiping left to right, you are wiggling as you do it, because that's just how inertia works in your body. You do it up and down, your body stays still. You're a female teacher, you're teaching high school kids, you don't really want to be facing the whiteboard or the blackboard and just randomly shaking your butt in front of everyone. So, up, down is the best way to clean the board. And I thought, you know what? I would never have discovered that if I hadn't have just started teaching. Everyone focuses so much on being ready before they do anything that very few people do anything. Do the thing that you feel you're not ready for. Because I absolutely guarantee you will learn far more from doing it and failing than you will from reading everything to make sure success is guaranteed.